Well, looks like I'm the king of the forms of the dark side, of course, but either way, we just need to able to stretch ourselves for a little bit time, and hopefully we can able to gather some more of those power moons along the way. So, hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Mario here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my last play of Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we did manage to able to start things off with exploring through the dark side of all things, and managed to beat the likes of the Boodles for the final time. In addition with dealing with the Boodles for the final time, we also did manage to able to gather ourselves once again more power moons to our disposal, so either way, today for this episode, potentially, is the fact that we're about to be, hopefully, going to be able to wrap things up with the dark side. So even then, for the majority of the missions though, however, it will be the final 2 missions from the top, and then the majority of the actual final 10 missions are going to be most likely going to be focusing on hint arts. So either way, we can able to actually do all those as much as we can. So hopefully we can able to actually just to get the dark side world to be finished. So either way though, let's kick this thing to it with this particular section. Oh, I remember this section a lot. Even then, because either way, you know about this particular part ever since Journey Forms of the past few kingdoms ago? Well, this makes things a little bit more tricky and difficult because for one thing, we only have like 2 missions in here though. And 2, since we are capulous for the whole entire time, this means about the fact that we need to able to go through the hardest amount of challenges that we can go through. So, basically, some people seem to say about the fact that, well, at least in the first mission on this particular section, it's actually not too difficult or anything like that. However though, for the second mission on this particular section like this is what makes things a lot more extremely difficult. And some people seem to say that this is by far one of the most hardest mission in the whole entire game. Which basically all you need to do, as you can see on screen, we need to do the most precise long jumps, because if you jump at the wrong time, well, basically you're gonna have to go all the way back to the very beginning. And no matter what though, how many times if you were gonna able to actually success for this point, especially because, yeah, as you can see, breakdown road final challenge, as you can see right there. So either way though, that is definitely the most the most difficult mission in the whole entire game, simply surely, because, well, sometimes though, if you get like several mistakes, most notably with the wrong precise long jumps or anything like that, then basically you have to go all the way back to that beginning portion of that specific section again. So, anyways, that pretty much checks out from this point right there, and we've already got about 10 more missions to go in the forms of well, the dark side. So, as I mentioned this before, it's going to be most likely focusing on the forms of the hint arts. So, now if you can't tell already why my voice is actually going to be a little bit more dimmed up at points, this is pretty obvious because I once again managed to get my little bit of a headache at the moment. So, hopefully I'll make myself better at some point in the future though. Excuse me. And plus I need to able to get back onto my Warrior World game, so that way I can able to actually just hopefully complete that game before we able to actually tackle through a let's play of the game and doing it at some point in next month. So, well, at least it's far from the case though, potentially, because we need to able to deal with the Warrior game let's play. In fact, we have not done a single Warrior, the new Warrior let's play ever since in WarioWare Smooth Moves back in June in 2013 as a part of the 1000 video special. So, but let's hopefully we can able to get the actual proper Warrior platformer let's play of all things and join at some point, which again it will happen at some point in next month though. Well, spoiler warning for those who have not even noticing by this point. So anyways though, let's go back into the previous kingdoms for the final time. Well, not necessarily the final time yet though, because, well, we're gonna be most likely gonna have to save these previous kingdoms, although, relatively speaking, this is actually the final time we're gonna be able to actually just you know, trying to able to actually explore for that specific, kingdom. Like, for instance, the Ruined Kingdom that we might actually explore for the final time, as well as the forms of the Cloud Kingdom for the final time as well. So even then, note that because of this, though, for the majority of any other missions as far as this is concerning with, well, basically about the fact that we pretty much almost gonna conclude almost everything else for the entirety of the actual, the kingdoms themselves. So, and if you're probably wondering about the fact that why I managed to able to jump cut for a little bit, because I just don't know where the world, what I was supposed to go. But either way, when I try to able to figure that out, then at least I did manage to found that at least. So, anyways, next kingdom we might actually go to is Luncheon Kingdom. In fact, we're able to actually go in a backwards fashion this time, because we've already done the chronological order kingdoms when it comes to likely going after regional coins and especially noticeable with these power moons themselves. So I figure we might actually do the backwards fashion this time. So either way though, we might as well able to actually accept that. So, but when we get into the forms of the Luigi's game right here, well, I figure we might actually do exactly the same order as the forms of how it does it on from the likes of the main game itself, or even in this case, you know, some extra missions, as well as finding every single of those regional coins to be found around here. So, but you know, you probably get the idea about this point right here, especially because of how the fact that we almost getting really close towards the end of this Let's Play. In fact, we did manage to hold up for about almost 2 years at this point, which, we're hoping we're not going to get that much delays or anything like that, just like in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. And another jump cut for this point right there. I do apologize for that for this point, folks, because then again, I need to briefly double check on the forms of the actual album snapshots so that I can able to actually look upon the actual enclosed depth of it, though, especially because of how the fact that, well, I know it's been such a long while since I actually managed to come into the forms of the dark side of all things. So, anyways, let's insert the next power moon, which at the moment right now, we actually got up to the forms of 868. So, I don't know if we can able to actually reach for that specific amount, which is specifically for that certain amount of power moons that we can get, like, you know, going over 900 for this point. But hopefully we can able to collect the amount of power moons in the future in each of the kingdoms respectively. So don't worry, we'll do all that stuff. So anyway though, today's day is the forms of the 10th of October in 2019. So either way though, there's not much else I could really say about this, I'm afraid, because either way though, we've already mentioned about quite a few things worth mentioning though, especially because even though Duffy has accidentally said about the fact that we did manage to go ourselves the Tokyo Tour on the forms of Mario Kart Tour right now. Apparently though, that he did accidentally say about the fact that that particular track at the moment we've got is actually known as Tokyo Metropolis, but, well, it turns out he was completely wrong, because it turns out it was actually Tokyo Blur instead of the forms of Tokyo Metropolis or anything like that. So, a little bit convincing on something like that, but either way though, it's just a little bit confusing for him sometimes. But either way though, another thing's worth mentioning though is the fact that even more races about to be able to actually recently got its release by the forms of you know, recently. Like, aside from Rosalina might actually bring back on the forms of Mario Kart Tour ever since during the forms of the beta version, alongside with Rosalina, we actually got ourselves you know, Bowser Jr. joined into the roster, and especially noticeable, there is, I would say Baby Rosalina joins into the roster as well, and I'm pretty sure the same applies for all 7 of those Koopalings, which there were Iggy, Larry, Lemmy, Ludwig, Morton, Roy, and Windy, essentially. And also Lakitu Red Shell version, which is pretty obvious. And also, well, I mentioned this before, Bowser Jr. now makes his appearance. And finally, currently, right now, which we have Wario. So, that's pretty cool. In addition, with those characters makes their debuts on the actual playable roster in Mario Kart Tour at the moment, we also managed to get ourselves the limited time offer when it comes to both the reskin version of Mario and especially noticeable for Peach once again, but this time around though is actually based off from Japanese, or in this case a Tokyo outfit. So So yeah, it's all good. There's still no sign of Luigi somehow for some reason though, and especially noticeable there is no Waluigi either. But I'm really hoping that we can able to actually get those remaining characters at some point in the future, most notably with the next tour or anything like that. So hopefully we can get a chance to able to actually bring Luigi to the roster, especially with Waluigi in mind. So hopefully that'll be the case though, especially because of the fact that most people seem to complain about the forms of how the fact that I have no idea why Luigi wasn't in the game yet though, despite the fact that he was already on the actual title screen of the actual loading screen or something. So, but who knows to that? Who knows? But anyways, and also we actually got Baby Luigi left, and especially noticeable with King Boo at the moment by the forms of Mario Wikipedia at the moment. So, and as for tracks layout though, still no sign of the forms of the Mario Kart DS tracks yet, but we at least managed to able to get ourselves even more tracks. As I mentioned before, we've already got one at the moment for Tokyo Tour, which we have Tokyo Blur. And as well as for that, we're also bringing back some of the previous tracks ever since during the forms of the previous tour, which we have Toad Circuit, as well as Rock Mountain, and also same applies for Yoshi Circuit, and I think Shy Guy Bazaar, and I think that's about it. So, at least we got ourselves those tracks kept from the likes of the previous tour, but we actually got ourselves replacements. Like, for instance, we have now got the returning tracks from the likes of Mario Kart 7, which there are Mario Circuit, which I think is pretty obvious. And also, unexpectedly, we actually got ourselves the returning track for the third time by the forms of Neo Bowser City, aka Cooper City, for those who lived in the UK country, from the likes of, well, Neo Bowser City from the likes of Mario Kart 7 / Mario Kart 8. So, at least for the DLC department, as well as the deluxe version when you manage to unlock from the get-go. So, that's pretty interesting, but I will definitely will mention more on that whenever he gets back onto Super Mario Galaxy 2, which will definitely won't be happening until tomorrow. So, either way though, that's as far as from the case. And also, that we actually bring back some of the returning tracks from the likes of the previous, games. Specifically the Super Mario Kart variation, which there are both Mario Circuit 2, which usually brings that back ever since during the forms of, Super Mario Kart, as well as Super Circuit, as well as Mario Kart 7 counterpart. So now they brought it back for the third time, and this time around though, they managed to able to make it as a smartphone game. So, and also Rainbow Road SNES does make its debut ever since during the forms of Super Mario Kart, and also we brought back that on the forms of Super Circuit counterpart, and as well as Mario Kart 7, and even Mario Kart 8 as far as DLC department. So, that was like 5 appearances right now when it comes to Super Nintendo, Rainbow Road track. And, also, Coco Island 2 finally makes its debut return after the events of Mario Kart DS returning, which, is pretty cool though, I have to admit though right away. And also we got ourselves the returning track from the likes of Mario Kart 64, as well as Mario Kart 7, as far as the retro tracks department, which we now have Karimari Desert at the moment. So, at least even then, it's pretty cool swapping stuff though, especially because of the fact that we have not seen that much N64 tracks returning, apart from, Koopa Troopa Beach so far, as well as the forms of, I'm not exactly sure what else is there around when it comes to the N64 tracks, as far as that's been, far from the case, aside from Koopa Troopa Beach, as I mentioned earlier, but I think that's about it for the most part. And conveniently enough though, we still have no luck when it comes to, like, Mario Kart DS tracks returning yet, but, I'm sure we can able to actually find those exponentially if we're assuming we can able to actually just, classify for some parts like that. So either way, yeah, it wasn't exactly all that, convenient to me though, but for what I've played, Tokyo Blur so far, it appears to be, once again, simple and especially noticeable as a little bit more, well, generic as it seems, which is a shame really, because either way, at least it's a little bit more brighter compared to the forms of how it does it on some sort of like an almost gloomy look on the forms of New York Minute, but I just wish there was actually more variety when it comes to the actual track itself. Like, add something like the aeroplane master able to actually just slowly approach to us. You know, kind of like how he did on, you know, Sunshine Airport in Mario Kart 8 slash Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. In fact, speaking of that particular Let's Play at the moment for Mario Kart 8 slash 8 Deluxe, it will surely will be up and doing at some point in next weekend, which as far as we already established that before, because we need to able to actually focusing on current Let's Plays that we're still going to be focusing on. Like, you know how the fact that, as I mentioned this before, that eventually at this point until this Saturday, and especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, we're actually getting pretty much almost close towards the end of certain Let's Plays department, that we're able to actually point things out is that Super Mario Galaxy 2 Let's Play will be finished by the actual time for able to actually just to conclude that at some point in this Saturday, which, you know. But either way though, we'll mention more on that briefly, touch upon for ourselves for that point. So, but you know, you get this suggestion. Alright, so another jump cut for this point right there, because once again, I just don't even know where in the world where the power moon's supposed to be at, which, for what I can tell, because even then, because it's been such a long time since I actually did manage to play for a bit on the dark side of all things, so once again, though, I do apologize with the actual lack of skills or anything like that, so plus I still got my little bit of a tiny headache at the moment, which I mentioned this before already for this video, but hopefully by that time, whenever I manage to get into the actual, you know, the final kingdom in the whole game, well, I can assure you I'll make myself a little bit more better whenever I take some pills and stuff. Oh yeah, relatively speaking, let's hit back to the Mushroom Kingdom briefly, because, well, aside from able to actually finding the forms of the next Power Moon by the forms of the Hint Art, since we actually did quite a few Hint Art missions ever since during right now, I think this is about time to able to actually completely done with this entire kingdom by going through, you know what these achievement challenges by the forms of Toadette, as far as I'm aware? Well, we can now able to actually just get ourselves the final Power Moon in the entire Mushroom Kingdom. So as a result of this kind of stuff, we are essentially done with the entire kingdom. Well, aside from able to showing off Luigi's DLC thing, which we'll point things out when it until at some point in either November or at the very end of October, but even then, though, it really depends on the forms of how the fact that, well, assuming if we're able to do some other schedules for, you know, other Let's Plays. Alright, another jump cut for this point, and yeah, my friend is actually online at the moment, so either way, we'll have to leave things up as it goes by, so, anywho though, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, about for the fact that, assuming if we can able to actually just focusing on certain Let's Plays, even though we're not gonna do too much games specifically though, we're just gonna do likely a few games at minimum, but don't worry, when we get to 2020, which is specifically next year, we can able to at least do likely lesser than 3 games, rather than just able to do it like more than 6, which either way, more than 6 might be a little bit more time consuming, I will admit it right away. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting in the end, folks, I must admit though right away. But, you know, we just want to get these things finished before the forms of the next, some parts will be able to actually just to be up, so. But before we leave Mushroom Kingdom, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and get the last Power Moon for Toadette, and that was the forms of the, well, assuming if we're able to actually get ourselves that particular item, we have Art Investigator. So, and there we go. We are basically done with the forms of the Mushroom Kingdom. So, as far as the dark side goes, I'm pretty sure we've actually got ourselves about, I would say, well, before we're able to actually count how many Power Moons we've got left when it comes to the dark side. Because if you can tell, this video won't take that long though, because as far as I'm aware, because we need to focusing on the majority of the dark side more than the forms of any other mission so far. So anyways, we got ourselves 875 of those Power Moons, which I'm quite pleased about that. So either way, we are done with that. Oh, shoot. I actually realized we're actually missing out 2 of those hint arts left. So, hopefully we can find those in during time, and then hopefully we can able to actually conclude that particular kingdom. So, once we're done with that, well, we're going to be moving on to the final kingdom, which is, of course, the darker side, which appears to be the part 3 of the actual Moon Kingdom resides. So, but then again, we'll mention more on that at some point in Dreamy Forms of later on this month or something. So, anywho though, but anyway, unlike in any other kingdom so far, I just realized, is the fact that it does not contain any of those checkpoint flags at all. I think it's pretty obvious because of how the fact that, well, it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it in the Cloud Kingdom, as well as the forms of, someone's playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate recently. In fact, because of the forms of the actual online matches and stuff like that, or perhaps even maybe about the fact that next month, about the fact that we're getting ourselves Terry from Fatal Fury from SNK DLC fighter will be almost releasing at some point next month, but it still needs to get a little bit more development time because of well, some movesets they need to be able to focus on. So, yeah, with those ticks right there, this means about the fact that you essentially accomplished that. So, no idea why I'm truly asking you guys about that, because, well, if you missed any of those details when I said this before, but either way though, let's not get ahead of ourselves for that, at this rate in time. So, anyways though, so let's go ahead and find the final 2 of those hint darts. This will be the final time we're going to be doing with these hint darts missions, because when we're done with those, well, we are essentially done with them. So, I think this is actually based off from the Lake Kingdom, and now we need to find the last one. So either way, once we find the last one, well, we can able to actually conclude, you know, the dark side if we manage to able to find the rest of the power moons. So, even though despite the fact there was only like 24 in this particular kingdom, but at least in the forms of any other kingdoms, they did at least manage to able to add in a lot more power moons to its disposal, just because of how the fact that, you know, this kingdom is relatively shorter as it goes by. But anyway, let's just go ahead and find that. Oh, God knows where is the actual hint dart, by the way, because I have no idea why. Well, I'm gonna be oh, there it is. So, I think this is going to take place in the Sand Kingdom. I'm not exactly sure, but even then, I'm also able to actually investigate for a little bit. So just in case, even though I like to able to travel back to the Odyssey a little bit more faster by going through, specifically for that little teleportation with that flag right there. So, anyways, let's go ahead and just go to, you know, the Sand Kingdom, and we'll just see what happens there. Oh, shoot, I actually realized, with the forms of the actual texture itself, I'm pretty sure that's going to take place in, well, the Lost Kingdom, which as far as I'm aware, because I can definitely tell from that little ground texture and stuff like that, but, hopefully I'm also able to actually explore from here somehow. And of course, that we will going to be exploring back to the Sand Kingdom for the final time in the future, because either way, we'll surely we can able to deal with the Luigi DLC thing at some point. So, but you know, don't worry though, it will happen, don't worry. So either way, I have no idea why I'm just looking around like a moron all of a sudden, but either way, because I need to clearly tell about the fact that if I was going to be exploring in the right place, but either way though, I just managed to able to actually, well, I really do apologize for the actual commentary for the sake of time, folks, because, well, you know, I just had a little bit of a headache at the moment, so I really do apologize for that. So, yeah, you might as well forgive me for that. So, but things will get exciting though, especially when we get to tomorrow's video for the sake of time, for, you know, just trying to able to actually just go through Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the final 2 parts potentially for, you know, tomorrow as well as on Saturday, as we've already said this hundreds of times already. But, you know, you probably get the idea for that point. So yeah, it turns out it's going to be on the Lost Kingdom, I just realized. So, yeah, because I can definitely notice is the fact that there aren't any, drop shadows. Well, there is actually a drop shadow on the actual, plum trees as far as I'm aware. But I think it's going to be somewhere. I think it's in here. There we go. Yeah, because I can see that little, edge around here for that specific pivot point on that grassy parts, but hey, at least we did manage to found that at least. So there you go, that takes care of that. And sure enough, we have managed to able to gather about 876 power moons. So that's pretty interesting to say the least. And let's go ahead and just go back to the Lake Kingdom again, because this time we need to find the final power moon in the dark side. So, and hopefully by that time, whenever we grab that, or obtain that I should say, then you know, we are basically done with the forms of the dark side. So, and consecutively, we pretty much almost nearly towards the end of specifically all of the missions in the whole game. So this should be pretty interesting to say the least, especially because of how the fact that I cannot even stress enough about the fact that we actually did manage to breezily run through the forms of every single missions within almost in a total breeze, assuming if you're able to try to pull off some of these speedrun techniques and stuff like that. So there we go. There's the final power moon in the dark side. So there we go. So anyways, let's go ahead and double check really quickly. So just in case that, yep, we managed able to gather every single of those power moons in the dark side. So there's only one left to go for this, for the sake of time. And that is, of course, the final kingdom in the whole entire game. Or in this case, the final mission in the whole entire game itself, where it comes to power moons alike. And yeah, you know with the forms of that particular pose theme, every time you're able to obtain one of those power moons, that is actually the final time we're going to be seeing that particular animation. Well, assuming if we manage to able to show off the Luigi's DLC thing, but we're not going to explain things too much detail specifically though on the other hand, because you know, we're just gonna save that until likely for the next future videos up ahead. So anyways, now let us exploring onto the forms of the final kingdom in the whole entire game, and that is the darker side, aka part 3 of the actual Moon Kingdom itself. Well, at least between the Moon Kingdom as well as the dark side and the darker side, 3 of those locations, they usually takes place in that particular moon itself. Oh jeez, I'm actually felt a little bit excited, and it's also kind of nervous at the same time, because, well, we'll explain more on that until whenever we're able to get things started with that particular video at some point. So, here we go, onto the darker side, but of course I'm not going to get things started on that particular kingdom yet, because, you know, I'm not exactly ready for that yet, because I need to get some more time to able to actually figure this out though, because if you can tell, the darker side is basically, it's like a the special level of all things, which might actually brings us to one of the most trickier challenges throughout along the way, so to be expected at this point. And yeah, I would love to listen to the Jump Up Superstar vocal theme again, but not today I'm afraid guys, because well, at this point we're actually getting really close towards the end of this game, so either way though, hopefully we can able to actually just you know, just focusing on the forms of the difficult challenge or anything like that. So, but anyways, it might take some time though, especially because it might actually brings us to a slight bit of a delay for uploading schedules at this point. But either way, join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Odyssey. It's the fact that we're going to be taking on the forms of the final mission in the whole entire game in the final kingdom itself, which is the darker side. So, should be interesting to say the least. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.